Hello there. We're Stacy and Molly, a mother and daughter team that walked the Camino de Santiago, the French route, from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port to Santiago to Finisterre in 2022. We had some accommodation experience because we did the Camino Primitivo in 2021, but it's very different from the Camino Frances. When we started looking into the details of walking the Camino Frances, it seemed like to us that everyone just walked as far as they felt like each day, and then tried to find a bed in an albergue when they got there. Or if they did book ahead, it was just a couple of days in advance as they went. We had the general feeling that real pilgrims stayed in bunk rooms and albergues. While this is how many people do their Camino, it's definitely not the only way. People stay in all kinds of accommodations, and many book well in advance. While spontaneously chosen albergue bunk rooms are certainly a good option, there's no shame in taking a more planned approach. There are a couple of main ways you can book ahead and take the bed race out of your Camino experience. The first would be to book an organized tour. There are a number of companies and individuals that offer both guided and unguided tours on the Camino. I think all of these offer hotels and baggage transport. A quick internet search will yield lots of options to choose from. The second option is to book your accommodation on your own. You can book hotels and baggage transport individually. This is what we did for 3 reasons. The first was cost. We saved a lot of money by booking these ourselves and not paying someone else to do it. The second was flexibility. We were able to choose from anywhere we wanted to stay and all the different options of what was available there, choose what we wanted. And by booking early, we got everything that was our first choice. The last reason was because it was fun. I really enjoyed the process of studying the options and picking my favorite for each night. It was exciting as we neared the end of our walk each day to see how our accommodation would compare to what I was expecting. I started booking our hotels about 9 months before we started. Because of this, we had lots of choices. This isn't always necessary, however. Many people we walked with got rooms at the same places just a couple of days in advance. And booking early doesn't guarantee a perfect experience. Out of 37 nights, we only had an issue at one hotel.
Or yesterday when we arrived at our albergue in the afternoon, we were hot and exhausted. And they did not have any record of our reservation, which was frustrating because I made it on booking.com and I had all the records. Not only had I made it in October of last year, but I had prepaid. So first they didn't have any record of it, but since I could prove I had it, they gave us a room, which was very nice. Then they wanted me to pay for the room, not only pay for it, but pay more than the price that I had agreed to pay on booking. So I showed them, now I've already paid, here's what it is. There was a language barrier because while I spoke Spanish and could talk to them, the booking stuff was in English. It was still pretty clear, I thought. In the end, we stayed there for the price that I had paid on booking. But I think they still sort of might have thought that I was some sort of criminal, which bothered me. It was a frustrating experience and just to look out that just because you book on booking doesn't mean they're going to have it straight. These people were still keeping all their notes about reservations handwritten in a notebook.
As we walked, we realized just how big of an impact the quality of a place had on our spirit and energy level. If our accommodations were great, we often had enough energy to tour the town. But if our room was less great, our energy took a nosedive.
I've been asked by a number of our subscribers how I knew how to book the accommodations. And the truth is, I really didn't. I just kind of sat down and tried to take an organized approach. First, I calculated the maximum amount of days we had. And then I sat down and made a plan of how far I thought we could walk each day and where I thought we would end up. So I generally mapped out the whole Camino at that point. Then I started by looking at booking.com and seeing what available accommodations they had in each of those target cities. If there was something that I liked, I booked it. Booking had free cancellations, so there was nothing really to hold me back from booking something, and it gave me a fallback option. Then I started doing other internet searches, like on Wise Pilgrim, both the app and the website, CaminoSleeps.com, Camino forums, etc. And some of the hotels just had individual websites that I could book on. If I couldn't find anything that I liked, then I would change the town that we were going to stop in to something nearby, always trying to keep on the Camino. I did end up booking 2 spots that were a little bit off the Camino, and we regretted that. I wouldn't do that again. We noted at least 6 different types of overnight accommodation in Spain. The first is the hotel, which were your standard large facilities with private bathrooms and a restaurant. We did stay in a few of these. Some we found kind of impersonal if they were part of a large chain. Others we really liked. Second, there's the hostal, which are usually feature private rooms. They can have private bathrooms or shared, and they often have some sort of restaurant attached. The third is the pension. These are like hostels, but they don't have a dining room or a kitchen. They're more basic than hotels, but also cheaper. The fourth general type was the casa rural. This is more like a bed and breakfast, often owned by the people who are actually working there. We love this kind of accommodation, and we booked those whenever we could find them. The fifth type is the parador. These are government-owned large hotels. They're often in restored historical buildings. They cost more than most of the other options, but they have a lot of historical character, so if you want to splurge once a week, once every 10 days, the paradors are fun. The last option is the albergue. These are hostels that are specifically for pilgrims. They often or always feature bunk rooms, but some of them also have private rooms. One plus about the albergue is that they usually have laundry facilities, and hotels usually don't. The hostels and pensiones, those some do, some don't. I tried to book a place that offered laundry at least once every 3 days. Over the course of our Camino, we stayed at least one night in each of these categories, and several of them seemed like they were pretty much the same thing. We had a private room every night, and most of them had private attached bathrooms. Overall, our least favorite type of accommodation was the large chain-type hotel. It almost felt like we were leaving the Camino when we stayed in a place like that. And our overall favorite category is probably the Casa Rural, but those aren't always available. We had great experiences in every one of these types, though, so it really just depends on the property. From a price perspective, hotels and paradors were the most expensive. They ranged anywhere from 80 to 200 euros. The Casa Rurales were next, usually about 70 to 100 euros, but that included 1 or 2 meals. Then were the pensions and hostals from 40 to 70 euros, and the albergues, which were 40 to 60 euros. Again, these were for private double rooms for 2 people.
There were several reasons that we chose to book private rooms, and do so in advance. For one, I was only 12 years old at the time. My mom is already a light sleeper, so we thought adding snoring, coughing, and 30 times the amount of rustling sheets wouldn't really help either of us. For another, we both have a bit of anxiety. Being out of the bed race made us more able to let go of the pressures and stressors, and made us feel much more comfortable with stopping along the way. We also wanted places with maximum character, which my mom loved finding and we both loved staying in. Lastly, both of us are major introverts, which made a good, quiet room into a sort of sanctuary every time.
When choosing our favorite hotels, Molly and I used very different criteria.
The criteria I used to select my favorite hotels were air conditioning, Wi-Fi, food, space, and most importantly, cats.
My top criteria were the temperature of the room, the location, the friendliness of the workers, the cleanliness, and most importantly, the character and history of the hotel. We're going to share our top 10 favorite hotels, but attached to this video, we do have a list of a bunch of other hotels that we really liked and we would stay in again.
After a couple of weeks on the Camino, everything starts to blur together, but these places stood out in our memory.
For spots 6 through 10, Molly and I ranked several different properties. So here are the ones that were included in either of our list. The Paradores in Santiago, León, and Santo Domingo. Overall, these were a little fancier than a place we would normally stay, but they had really cool history, and it was just a lot of fun to stay there.
The Hotel Gaudí in Astorga was great because it was right next to both one of Gaudí's greatest pieces and also the cathedral.
The Hotel en el Camino in Boadilla del Camino. This place was a nice hotel. There was nothing else in town, so we're super grateful for it. But the most important thing on this one is it had great food.
So that hotel, it was called the Hotel en el Camino. We highly recommend. That was the best hotel we've been in a while. That was 50 euros. It's new, so it had modern conveniences. We could turn the lights out from the bed, which was awesome. And what else did it have that we hadn't had in many days? Wi-Fi in our room.
Right, that.
Which is such a difference maker when you're exhausted and you just want to sit there and do something mindless. It had probably been almost a week. Since we'd had a place with Wi-Fi in our room. All these places claim to have Wi-Fi, but it's only in the main area downstairs. Or they don't have it at all.
Another couple of places that I really loved were the El Trasgu de Fonseverón in Fonseverón and the Casa Navarro in Oceberro. They were both small but cozy, and they weren't really fancy, but they were really our kind of atmosphere with a lot of character.
The room at the place we stayed, El Trasgu de Fonseverón, extremely clean, really nice, small. You don't need a big room on the Camino. I'd rather them have a few more nice small rooms so more people can stay there because people have trouble finding a spot. So it was just right. Hot shower. And the dinner we had last night was pretty good.
We picked the same spots for our 3rd through 5th favorites, but in different order. The 3 were
the Hotel Roncesvalles in Roncesvalles. It had both the amazing setting, the character, and the great food, so it really checked all the boxes for us.
the Chanchorena in Zubiri. This was amazing character, beautiful old building, good breakfast, and a really friendly host.
And lastly of these three, we had the Hotel La Huela de Camino in Belorado. It was a cool place, of course, and we got double the space, which was awesome. We had a bathtub in our bathroom. The food was great. I can still remember the lemon chicken. And the staff was really great to us.
We're also having a big chicken dinner tonight to fuel up for a 30-kilometer day tomorrow.
We chose the same top two, but in a different order. My favorite place we stayed was the Albergue Atrio. When we walked in, they had a warm fire going with sofas around it. It was just extremely welcoming atmosphere. We had a huge room. The hotel was over 200 years old. It had wood beams everywhere. It was my favorite atmosphere of any place we stayed. And it was right on the Camino. Also, as a bonus, it was only 40 euros.
A window to the outside with a balcony where I can look down the streets of Tria Castella.
My favorite place was Molina Galoches in Villavante. It was definitely worth taking the longer variant to get there. They had two beautiful and sweet cats, and it was a very personal experience as they greeted us at the door and led us to our own casita. We had a group dinner with amazing food, and overall, it was just my favorite experience in any place we stayed.
It was a very personal experience. The people there were so nice. The place was beautiful and serene with two cats, and the other pilgrims were nice. So it was just a lovely experience staying there. I wish we could stay someplace like that every night.
And we all had dinner together.
Yeah.
I had a great time researching all of these properties, and I'm eager to learn more. So please leave a note in the comments about your favorite places you stayed along the Camino.
So that's our quick guide to finding private accommodations on the Camino de Santiago. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.